Welcome back, my fellow skeptics and seekers of sanity, to another episode of Scorched Earth. Today, we're taking a deep dive into an irony so thick you could cut it with a knife. We've got a speaker from Holdfast Baptist Church. Yeah, you heard that right. A place that should be a beacon of Christian virtues like love, understanding, and the pursuit of wisdom. But what do we get instead? A sermon on exclusion, intellectual arrogance, and a blatant disregard for historical knowledge. So strap in as we dissect how someone who's supposed to uphold the values of humility and acceptance can champion such a closed-off and dismissive approach to knowledge and debate. Prepare yourselves as we navigate through a landscape littered with contradictions, where ancient texts are tossed aside like yesterday's news, intellectual curiosity is treated like a crime, and debates are nothing short of career assassination missions. Isn't it just mesmerizing when the supposed defenders of a faith centered around the profound mysteries of the divine decide that exploring the vast expanse of human history and thought is just too sacrilegious? Join me as we peel back the layers of this hypocrisy and perhaps, just perhaps, remind everyone that true wisdom often starts with admitting, I might be wrong. And hey, if you're curious to see the source of today's firestorm, I've linked the full Holdfast Baptist Church video in the description below. Full disclosure, I couldn't make it past the first 5 minutes or so before I had to turn it off. It was that jarring, but don't just take my word for it. Feel free to check it out for yourselves. Now, let's get to the roast. All right, let's kick things off with a bang.
He comes in and he just completely destroys this guy.
And he proceeds to follow it up shortly after with
annihilates this person to the point where some people are like, he's ruined.
Wow, imagine possessing the power to not just win a debate, but obliterate someone's career with mere words. This claim surfaced regarding the heated debate between Billy Carson and Wes Huff, where it was suggested that Carson's career was ruined by the encounter. I didn't realize we were in the presence of a debate god, wielding the mythical hammer of career obliteration. But seriously, since when did a single debate become a gladiatorial match where careers are slain on the intellectual sands? And here I thought debates were about exchanging ideas, not enacting career-ending fatalities. Is there an audience score I missed that tallies career points? Because surely that's a game changer we all need to be aware of. But let's be real, folks. Losing a debate doesn't ruin careers. If it did, political debates would have left us with zero politicians. Moving on to what must have been a fan favorite.
He was clearly, I'm not even just talking about who studied it more, he was clearly much more intelligent than both of the other two people.
Ah, the classic I'm smarter than you argument strikes again, this time with a twist. While recapping the Wes Huff and Billy Carson debate, our preacher doesn't stop at calling Billy Carson unintelligent. No, he doubles down by throwing the moderator under the bus as well. Because why not? Nothing screams humility quite like declaring not one but two people in a discussion unworthy of intellectual respect. It's a masterclass in elitism, where intelligence is treated like a neon sign above someone's head, glowing for all to see. And being well studied, that must mean memorizing more facts, right? Facts that are apparently immutable and immune to interpretation or evolution. Of course, in this worldview, being more studied is an automatic win. Forget thoughtful engagement or the quality of your arguments. Nope, it's all about flexing those intellectual muscles. So, bulk up, folks, or prepare to be dismissed. Here's the next juicy one. I've been hearing this one a lot, not just from this guy, but from a few other creators out there.
The way it was. But look, he basically exposed this, this Billy Carson as a con man.
Exposed? Or did we just witness a disagreement dressed up as an expose? Last time I checked, calling someone a con man required a bit more evidence than just disagreeing with their views, but perhaps I'm just not enlightened by the divine rays of absolute truth that our debater seems to bask in. Seriously though, labeling someone a fraud because they hold unconventional ideas is not only harsh, but also a bit lazy. Wouldn't it be more productive to dissect those ideas, provide counter evidence, and maybe educate the audience? Nah, let's just slap on the con man label and call it a day. That's definitely how mature, reasoned debates are won. And let's not forget, anyone who challenges mainstream views must be selling snake oil on the side, right? Oh, and this one's a doozy.
But they just have this desire to want to believe anything but the Bible.
Because clearly, curiosity is a dangerous thing. Why would anyone explore beyond the familiar? It's almost as if people find value in understanding diverse perspectives or gasp learning from them. But no, let's keep things simple and assume that exploring any belief system other than the Bible is just rebellious folly. Why engage with the richness of human thought accumulated over millennia when you can dismiss it all with a wave of your biblical fan? It's not like the Bible itself exists in a historical, social, and cultural context that could be enriched by understanding other texts and beliefs. Nah, that would be too complicated and, dare I say, enlightening. And finally, we have the pièce de résistance.
When there's literally 1,000 times more evidence, physical written evidence, for the Bible that sits in front of us.
Because, as we all know, more is always better. Forget nuanced analysis or the validity of evidence. It's all about who has the bigger pile. But let's unpack this a bit. Does quantity of evidence correlate directly with truth? Last I checked, truth isn't a popularity contest, though that would make some TV shows far more interesting. It's about context, interpretation, and, yes, even doubt. And here's a thought. Maybe, just maybe, multiple sources of evidence, even those less abundant, have something valuable to offer. But hey, why bother with a mosaic of human experience when you can have a monolith? Simple, massive, and unyielding. That's the way to truth, right? Or maybe, just maybe, it's a bit more complex than that. Now let's not overlook this stunning display of academic dismissal.
Well, have you seen these ancient Hopi cave drawings that have, this stuff in it? And of course, nobody's seen that.
Oh, of course, because if it's not widely known or part of mainstream discourse, it must not exist, right? Let's just ignore millennia of human history etched into stone because it doesn't fit neatly into the narrative. But seriously, dismissing lesser known historical evidence because it's unfamiliar or inconvenient, that's like saying if you haven't personally witnessed an archaeological dig, it's all just hearsay. Mocking the exploration of ancient artifacts not only belittles the work of historians and archaeologists, but also stifles the pursuit of knowledge. Why bother with the richness of human history when you can just dismiss it outright? Who needs insight into our ancestors' thoughts and lives anyway? And here's a classic hit from the Gatekeeping greatest hits.
Right? Have you read the Epic of Gilgamesh, which no one has read and no one should read?
Yes, let's all just ignore one of the oldest pieces of literature known to mankind. Why bother with the origins of literary themes and human thought? That's just silly old stuff with no relevance today, except, for providing foundational insights into civilization, culture, and morality. But who's counting? Apparently, the breadth of human knowledge is now determined by what's trending. Forget enriching your worldview or understanding the complexities of human narratives through time. If it's old and not a meme, it must be irrelevant. Let's continue to narrow the corridors of history until we're all just blindly bumping into the walls of ignorance. That should make for a bright future. Well, what a journey through the intellectual wasteland we've traversed today. A place where humility is a foreign language, curiosity is branded as heresy, and the treasures of human history are treated like the ramblings of a lunatic. If there's one takeaway from this, let it be this. Beware anyone who tells you what is or isn't worth your time, especially when their argument rests on the shaky foundation of arrogance and dismissal. The rich tapestry of human knowledge, ancient texts, diverse perspectives, and yes, even challenging debates, is far too vast to be reduced to the simplistic, narrow worldview of self-proclaimed gatekeepers. So, go ahead, dive into those forbidden tomes, explore those untraveled paths, and seek out the truths that terrify those who cling to ignorance like a security blanket. Because at the end of the day, true wisdom isn't about wielding intellectual muscle, it's about the courage to embrace complexity and admit you don't have all the answers. And for those who disagree, well, they can stay in their echo chambers shouting into the void. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Scorched Earth. If you enjoyed the roast, or if you're just here for the schadenfreude, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Share this with someone who needs a reminder that arrogance is no substitute for insight. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep lighting up the dark corners of ignorance.